An RV park can look like a remarkably simple business. Buy a large piece of land, divide it into numbered spaces, let travelers park their motorhomes there, and collect nightly rent. The guests bring their own bedrooms, kitchens, and bathrooms. You do not even have to build the hotel. From a distance, it appears to be a campground with a payment system, but an empty patch of land is almost worthless to an RV traveler. What they are actually paying for is a functioning connection to everything their vehicle cannot reliably provide on its own: electricity, water, waste disposal, road access, security, internet, and a location worth visiting. The land is only the platform. The real product is infrastructure. That begins with the individual site. A basic campsite may provide little more than a level place to park. A full hookup RV site usually connects the vehicle to electricity, fresh water, and sewer. Larger rigs may also require wider roads, longer parking pads, greater turning space, and electrical service capable of supporting heavier demand. Every additional convenience increases the usefulness of the site. It also increases the amount of equipment underground, beside the road or inside an electrical cabinet that can break. This creates the first contradiction. RV owners arrive with what looks like a self-contained home, yet the most valuable parks are often the ones that make that home depend least on its own tanks, batteries, and generators. A guest may see grass, trees, and a concrete pad. The operator sees water lines, sewer connections, transformers, pedestals, drainage, road surfaces, and dozens of individual points of failure. And not every guest buys the same product. A transient guest may stay for one night, one weekend, or part of a vacation. Economically, that site behaves like a hotel room. It must be marketed, reserved, cleaned around, checked repeatedly, and sold again after the guest leaves. A seasonal customer may reserve a site for several months. That reduces turnover and gives the operator more predictable revenue during a particular part of the year. An annual customer may keep an RV or park model on the property under a year-to-year agreement. At that point, the business begins to resemble residential real estate more than tourism. Large operators use all three models. Sun Communities reported more than 33,000 annual RV sites and roughly 23,500 transient RV sites at the end of 2025. Equity Lifestyle Properties similarly separates annual, seasonal, and transient inventory because each category produces a different combination of revenue, turnover, and operating work. This distinction matters because the highest nightly rate is not automatically the best business. A transient site may earn more during a busy holiday weekend, but it can also sit empty during week periods. It requires continuous reservations, guest communication, and marketing. An annual site may produce less revenue during peak nights, but it can generate steady rent with fewer turnovers. The operator is constantly choosing between maximum rate and maximum predictability. Now add seasonality. Sun Communities states that its transient RV portfolio generally earns more revenue from April through September than during the colder half of the year. In 2025, nearly half of its annual transient revenue was generated during the third quarter alone. That concentration can make a park appear highly profitable during summer while hiding how dependent the entire year is on a narrow window. A rainy month, wildfire smoke, road closure, fuel price shock, or regional travel slowdown does not merely reduce one weekend's income. It removes revenue from inventory that cannot be stored. A vacant campsite last July cannot be sold next February. This is where the RV park begins to resemble both a hotel and a utility company. The operator must keep the park attractive enough to justify the rate, while maintaining systems that guests expect to work immediately. Roads must remain passable. Electrical pedestals must supply reliable power. Water pressure must be adequate. Sewer connections cannot become a recurring surprise. These are not decorative extras. They are the product. Development therefore costs more than dividing acreage with painted numbers. New sites can require grading, roads, drainage, utility extensions, concrete or gravel pads, landscaping, and regulatory approval. Existing parks may also require pools, clubhouses, lighting, playgrounds, signage, maintenance buildings, and staff housing. Sun Communities filings describe recurring spending on roads, pools, clubhouses, streetlights, playgrounds, signage, and property vehicles. They also describe larger improvement projects involving utility efficiency, site upgrades, and infrastructure required to convert transient spaces into annual sites. That helps explain why the largest parcel is not necessarily the best park. A smaller property near a national park, beach, city, or major travel route may command stronger rates and maintain higher demand than a much larger property in the wrong place. Location still matters, but it works differently than it does in a billboard business. A billboard needs people to pass. An RV park needs people to stop. The ideal property must be accessible enough to reach, attractive enough to choose, and quiet enough to stay. It also needs enough nearby demand to refill the park after each departure. Once guests arrive, the park may generate revenue beyond the site fee. Some properties rent cabins or park models. Others charge for storage, laundry, propane, premium waterfront spaces, late checkout, golf cart rentals, or activities. Resort-style properties may use pools, clubhouses, and entertainment to support higher rates and longer stays, but these extra revenue streams can be misleading. A store full of snacks and camping supplies looks like diversification, yet retail inventory creates its own labor and waste. A pool may support premium pricing, but it also requires cleaning, chemicals, repairs, insurance, and supervision. Amenities are profitable only when the additional demand or pricing power exceeds the cost of operating them. This is why occupancy alone can hide a weak park. Suppose a property has 100 sites and 90 are occupied. That sounds excellent. But perhaps many customers received discounts. Perhaps electricity is included while air conditioners run continuously. Perhaps the busiest weeks subsidize months of low demand. Perhaps the roads, sewer system, and electrical network are approaching major replacement cycles. The park looks full. The cash flow may be limping. Utilities are especially important because the operator often sits between the provider and the guest. Depending on the property and contract, utilities may be included in the site rate, separately metered, or partially passed through. When costs rise faster than rent, the margin quietly narrows. Sun Communities reported that its RV operating expenses rose partly because of utilities, real estate taxes, and other expenses. In 2025, its RV segment also experienced lower transient revenue, while annual site revenue increased, partly through converting transient sites to annual arrangements. That shift reveals one of the most counterintuitive strategies in the business. The operator may intentionally give up some high-priced nightly inventory in exchange for a more stable annual customer. This is not always the right choice. A premium tourist destination may earn far more from transient guests, but in a weaker or more seasonal location, annual rent can reduce marketing costs, turnover, and vacancy risk. Sun Communities has used this strategy for years. In a 2021 investor presentation, the company said it was converting roughly 1,200 transient sites per year and estimated a significant first-year revenue uplift from those conversions. By 2024, it reported that approximately 70% of its revenue-producing site gains came from transient to annual conversions. The chronology matters. During the 2010s and early 2020s, Sun expanded heavily through acquisitions of manufactured housing and RV properties. In 2021 alone, it reported substantial investment across RV resorts, housing communities, and marinas. Then the operating environment became more complicated. In 2020, COVID restrictions caused reservation cancellations, temporary closures, and weaker transient RV income during several months. Although demand recovered strongly later in the year as restrictions eased, the broader outdoor travel boom that followed encouraged optimism, but transient demand did not rise forever. In 2024, Sun reported an 11% decline in same-property transient RV revenue, partly offset by higher annual site revenue. In 2025, transient revenue declined again while annual revenue increased through further conversions. The company did not abandon RV parks. It adjusted the revenue mix. That is the lesson. When short-term demand became less reliable, more sites were moved toward contracts that produced steadier rent. The visible property remained an RV resort. The economics moved closer to long-term real estate. Now consider how a smaller park can spiral in the opposite direction. A sewer problem closes several sites. Immediate revenue falls. Guests demand refunds and leave negative reviews. Future bookings weaken, so the operator discounts prices. Lower revenue delays road or electrical repairs. The property looks more tired, which makes premium guests choose better parks. One broken system becomes a pricing problem. The pricing problem becomes a maintenance problem. The maintenance problem becomes a reputation problem. And because the property is built around fixed infrastructure, the owner cannot simply move the park somewhere else. The best case outcome is a park in a strong destination with reliable utilities, protected permits, good access, and several customer types. Transient guests deliver high seasonal rates, annual customers provide stability, and carefully selected amenities support premium pricing. A realistic, successful park is less cinematic. It maintains respectable occupancy, controls utility costs, keeps roads and hookups functioning, and earns a steady return through active management. A weaker outcome is a highly seasonal park with average sites, aggressive discounting, and infrastructure that absorbs more cash each year. The failure scenario appears when demand weakens. At the same time, major systems require replacement. The owner needs capital precisely when the property is least able to produce it. So how do RV parks actually make money? Not by renting empty land. They make money by turning each piece of land into a reliable, permitted, and desirable service connection, then keeping that connection occupied at a rate higher than the cost of maintaining it. The RV may belong to the guest. Everything that makes the stay work belongs to the park.